Hey, what's up? So I haven't been on here in a minute and I want to show up more and share things like more about recovery and things that I've learned only through being in long-term recovery. And today's topic is lies. So I want to touch on how lies were so beneficial to me and throughout my life mostly as a young person. But as the decades passed, how that actually played out for me from my perspective now, 10 years sober, since 2014, however many years that is. And the easiest way for me to go about this is just to share something I've written and then kind of talk to you afterwards. Hopefully this won't be too boring because I actually will be reading it, but you let me know what you think. I used to think I was so slick when I was a teenager. This also just happened to coincide with the time I became a daily drug user versus just someone who would use at parties or casually whenever the opportunity would present itself. No, this was a time when I took a much more proactive role in my highs and doing everything within my control to buffer between the inevitable lows that came at the end of each bag and bottle. I don't know why I'm sweating, but maybe it's like I'm nervous to share today for whatever reason. So, or it could be my hormones. It's probably my hormones. Okay, let's keep going. The contacts on my phone weren't mostly friends. They were connections to all the various drugs I used each day to feel my best. To feel like the best, most confident, powerful version of myself. Alcohol seemed to bring out the worst in me, while drugs seemed to enhance all aspects of me. With alcohol, I could drink and have a good time, but I could also drink and lose my temper, turn violent, disrespectful, belligerent. See, alcohol unleashed the inner asshole in me. Big time. But the thing about drugs, though, is they have an uncanny ability to convince you what's true is false and what's false is true. I became a habitual liar in my teens, and because I was getting away with a shit ton of lies left and right, it convinced me I had a knack for deceiving people, manipulating others, and getting my way. If I was in sales already, I would be selling my version of reality, which was all made up, of course. Me and my best friend deceived the associates at the local mall right down the street that we were loyal shoppers versus chronic thieves. I would deceive my boss into believing I was a grateful, humble worker bee, when really I was skimming the register every shift along with my manager. I would convince my bougie private school admins that when they called my parents' number, it wasn't my best friend who would answer and do her very perfected impersonation of a middle-aged mom. As for my mom and dad, I convinced them for years I didn't mess around with hard drugs like cocaine, ecstasy, wet, mushrooms, yada yada yada. I rebelled by drinking and smoking weed, which I also hid the daily use of, so it appeared I only did that every weekend or so. The lies just snowballed throughout my life like a magic wand I could wave to lessen a negative impact or avoid consequences altogether. One thing was clear. Lies helped me to not hurt people. Perjury, no problem. Forgetting crimes, done. Reimagining reality to align with my best interests, that seemed to be my specialty. I began to feel I had a gift. Lies. Lies have a way about them that snuck up on me. As I hit my mid-20s, I was obsessed with my looks, but not in the way you might think. I seemed able to get away with things just because others considered me hot or fine as fuck. Their words, not mine. But I obsessed over every fat roll others couldn't see. I'd pinch any ounce of skin between my fingers, feeling repulsed, even though I wasn't overweight in the slightest. I had a lean, athletic build from being active in sports most of my life. I didn't play sports anymore, unless there was one called getting shit-faced, but I did seem to maintain my muscles I built through my younger years. I still loved to dance, freestyle of course, but that's a workout all on its own. Point is, when I looked in the mirror, I didn't like or respect the person looking back. I don't know why, but with each year that passed, and as my addiction deepened and my lies got heavier, who killed so-and-so? Who knows? Bullshit. But I had a code to uphold. I treated the street code with more decency, respect, and dignity than my own damn self. I broke promises to myself left and right, but I held that code as tight as a Christian or a person with a strong faith holds the Word of God. I was raised Catholic, but dismissed it in early adulthood as unreal, untrue, a fantasy that makes people feel better. With my friends, we were playing God without realizing it, believing we knew what was best, and if it hurt or put someone else in danger, well, that was just collateral damage, and it went with the territory. As the saying goes, without real risk, you can't reap big rewards. All my lies turned on me because somewhere along the way, and I have no clue when, all I know is I began to believe my lies. I'm not selfish. I don't have a drug problem. I'm not in need of help. I don't need to change anything. I'm fulfilling my life's purpose. We aren't all called to be saints. If it's truly bad, why would it feel this damn good? This is made by God for us to enjoy. On and on and on. The lies flowed out of my mind as fluid as water from a spout. The lies I tell myself and believe are the ones that fuck me over worse than any childhood innocent white lie ever could. These lies take with them in chunks the best parts of me. Little by little, they erode my dignity, my self-respect, my confidence, my morals, and my long-lost spiritual principles, and my love for myself, till the day finally comes when I can't stand anything about myself. I fucking hate myself, and I don't have any real idea why. It just overpowers me with a visceral anger and self-disgust. So I feel best only when I continue to self-destruct. All aboard, party of one. Where to? Who cares? Let's just ride this bitch fast as fuck till it flies off the rails. Real quick, I just want to say, I only learned these things about myself when I became sober. So it's kind of like when you're in your active addiction, you believe things that aren't real. They're real to you in those moments. They feel real. So I wanted to share that because the things you can learn about yourself and the way that your relationships can heal and repair, and the way that the longer I'm in recovery, the more I feel like alive, like my true self, excited, truly happy, truly fulfilled, like I'm actually doing things that are meaningful and that I am actually connecting with the people I love. All of this sounds so cliche and like something I wouldn't be interested in at all when I was using drugs. But that's because the drugs, like when I'm on drugs, I am convinced that this is what I want and this is what fulfills me and this is what completes me and this is what makes me whole and nothing else could make me feel this good. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. If you are still in your active addiction and you cannot escape, like you can't escape those nagging thoughts inside you, like for me towards the end, there was this real urgency I could feel of like, I'm going to die, and do I want to die? Do I want to let the drugs take me out? Because to me, that felt like, in the early days of my addiction, that felt like something that wouldn't bother me. It was like, in the early days, I truly was, when I would get high, I would escape into oblivion, and I could, all of my problems, it's like as if they vanished. But as I continued to use, something shifted, and the closer I got to death, the more overdoses I experienced, the more intense my highs because I was shooting up instead of just smoking, etc. That's when something eventually shifted in my mind, and I felt this urgency of like, okay, so really, like, you want to go out doing drugs? Like, is this really how you want to go out? And something shifted into where, no, I didn't want to go out like that. I did not want to die doing drugs. I actually didn't want that at the end. And my highs no longer, I could use more, and I could use in the most intense way possible, which is shooting up, and I could still not escape those nagging thoughts that were like ingrained in my mind. Basically, these nagging thoughts in my like gut or instinct, whatever you want to call it, like I could not get high enough to escape the pull, which was like basically saying, you're meant to do something else. You're supposed to do something incredible in your life, and this isn't it. Like, this is not it. Look what you are. Look where you're sitting. Look who you're with. This isn't it. You have to get the fuck out of here. And I had that feeling. And if you have that feeling and you're getting high, get the fuck out of wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And just be prepared for like the absolute fight of your life. But I'm telling you, sitting from the other side of it now, it gets better. It gets so much better. It's so much more worthwhile. Yeah, problems come, but I don't feel like this overwhelming everyday sense of like, I need to escape my life. Like, I like to live my life, you know, I actually like to live my life. And when I wake up, I feel alive and I feel ready to tackle the day and whatever's in store. It's exciting. It's not something I dread, and I don't hate my existence, and I don't constantly feel like when I'm with my family or doing a wholesome activity that like doesn't involve drinking or drugs, I don't feel the need like, oh, when can I get away from here? When can I sneak off? When can I get high? It's not all about like, when can I alter this version of reality to be like my version of complete ecstasy. Like, ecstasy and pure joy can come from your heart and your soul being like on fire and alive and excited with what you're doing in your day-to-day living. So like an example of a moment of complete bliss in my recovery can be something like I hit one of my small business goals. Like, I challenge myself to do something, and when I actually accomplish it, it feels the same way as like a high. I have that same sort of high feeling, but this is different because it's actually true, because it's truly coming from my heart and it means something to me. It's the same as like when I was getting drunk that first year of my son's life, and like I will be with him. I didn't really like, I could be hugging him and really not feeling anything because I'm just under the influence of the alcohol. And so it more was just like going through the motions. But now, like, when he gives me a hug, I actually feel the joy and the connection of like, oh, I'm so lucky. Like, I am so fortunate to have my son in my life, to be given the gift of being his mom. Like, that is such a gift I never even knew I wanted until I was in the role. So those are just two examples of things that would just completely elude me when under the influence. Pure ecstasy and joy, these are feelings that can be experienced in their purest form without all of the enhancements that make them actually just simulated, like artificial joy, artificial ecstasy. Because anytime I was like high out of my mind and I thought like, I'm in complete heaven, like, was I? And did I really connect with anybody on those nights? Or was it more like we were all just together, but in our own heads, like in our own headspace? I know that total abstinence isn't it for everybody. Like, not everybody is supposed to have total abstinence, but I think that people like me, the more extreme users, actually most of us are destined for total abstinence. And the second I was able to start facing down all of the lies that I believe to be true and start challenging my inner beliefs and my inner dialogue. And this was a process that took years, and I still have to work on like how I talk to myself, how I feel when I look in the mirror. I still have to work on those things because that does not come natural to me. But I'm telling you, I feel so much better today than I ever felt when I was getting high. Similar to social media, where the feelings were shallow and fleeting and meaningless. So yeah, I felt really good when I was high, of course. But now I wouldn't trade getting high for just having like a really happy moment in my recovery. So I hope that some of you will share some of your recovery in the comments, and I want to share more like recovery based stuff over here. So let me know what you think about this style of video, and I'll see you guys later.